Sonic, the heart of your system.
What's up everybody, my name's Andy and welcome back to Kit Guru. So today we're checking out another phone. So OnePlus is still a relatively new player in the phone world, but they are attacking the big boys head on with their flagship OnePlus 7T Pro, which was released last year in September. So who's the target audience? Well, this phone is aimed at pretty much as many people as possible. It's not specializing in any one area, but it doesn't fail in any either, and it really does perform excellently across the board, which you shall see if you continue watching. So what's in the box? Well, of course you get the 7T Pro itself, you get the Warp Charge 30T power adapter, the Warp Charge Type-C cable, and a transparent phone case, as well as a SIM tray ejector and a screen protector. So let's just jump straight into the specifications. This one has a beautiful 90Hz HDR10 Plus fluid AMOLED 6.67 inch display with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 Plus octa-core, which has up to 2.96 GHz, with the Adreno 640 GPU for the graphics. Now our sample has 8GB of LP DDR4X RAM, 256GB internal storage, Oxygen OS, which is OnePlus's own take on Android 10. So it's Android 10, but there's a few tweaks that they've made to it. It's got a 4085 mAh battery capacity with the Warp Charge fast charging ability, which is 5 volts, 6 amps, USB 3.1 Type-C for charging and data transfer. Now it does have dual SIM card slot. It's got advanced haptic vibration, dual stereo speakers with a Dolby Atmos and noise cancellation support, in-display fingerprint sensor and face unlock, as well as NFC for contactless payments. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this does have a pre-applied screen protector out of the box, so it's not even loose in the box. They've actually done it for you, and I didn't even know this until I'd already began my testing. So I was a couple of days in and I was just reading through, and it was like, applied screen protector. It was that good, I didn't even notice it. So I find that's quite a big pro. There is a couple things lacking here. There's no headphone jack, and there is also no IP rating. So that's quite a big one. So jumping straight over to the design, well, the dimensions are 162.6 by 75.8 by 8.8 millimeters, and it has a weight of 206 grams. Now the colorway is actually a haze blue, and this is beautiful, and it's matte as well. So even though it's got 3D Corning Gorilla Glass on front and back, on the back where the haze blue is, it's actually like a matte finish, and it's amazing. I can't stop looking at it. Now both front and back have curved edges, which are very similar to the Samsung line. However, I actually prefer the OnePlus because the curve isn't so steep, it's not so aggressive. So compared to my own personal phone, which is the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, you can see it's not as much of a harsh edge, and it does make using the phone a lot easier, because I find with the severe curved edges on my Note 9, sometimes I run into issues using apps, whereas on the 7T Pro, I haven't had that issue whatsoever. So I actually really like it. So the top of the phone has a speaker, but this doesn't impact on screen size. And note that there's no selfie cam on the front either, and we'll find out soon enough why. Now on the back, we have the 3 main cameras, and they're placed in the center. And I didn't find that my fingers got in the way of these at all. Even just holding the phone, I didn't smudge the lenses like you do on some camera phones. But on the base of the phone is another speaker, the SIM card slots, and a USB-C port. And I actually like the fact that the SIM tray is on the bottom, as it makes the rest of the phone have more of like a clean look to it, so it's not just on the side or something like that. It's down the bottom where you don't really look anyway, and you know, it's covered by the case most of the time. So the left hand side has a volume rocker, and on the right hand side you have a power button as well as a switch. So this switch is basically to move between silent, vibrate, or ring modes, and I absolutely love this. It's textured and incredibly satisfying to move, as the resistance and drag is actually perfect. Now, this is such a simple feature, but it makes a lot of sense to me because of ease of use. There's been many times where I've been in a cinema or somewhere I need to be silent, and instead of having to get your phone out, unlock the phone, switch modes, and then lock it again, put it back in your pocket, you can just put your hand in your pocket, flick the switch, and away you go. It's really, really easy. Now on the top of the phone we have a little notch, and this is for a mechanical selfie camera, but we'll look more into the cameras a little bit later. So display wise, the 7T Pro has a 90Hz HDR10 Plus Fluid AMOLED 6.67 inch display like we mentioned in the specs, and this has a resolution of 3120 by 1440. Now this has 516 pixels per inch, an aspect ratio of 19.5 by 9, and OnePlus says it's simply our most breathtaking display ever. And honestly, I can't really disagree with that. It's absolutely stunning with really good specs. So with almost no forehead and chin, or the selfie cam being in the way, the front of the phone is practically all screen, and this makes it absolutely excellent for consuming all kinds of media and definitely for gaming. So colors really pop, and with that high resolution and the 516 ppi, everything looks really sharp and really bright as well. Now this is a really stunning phone in terms of design and function. So software-wise, the 7T Pro has Android 10 with Oxygen OS 10. So Oxygen OS enhances Android 10 with powerful optimizations for a fast and smooth experience. That's what OnePlus is offering. So this was the first thing that I noticed when turning the phone on and using it for the first time. Everything just worked how it should do, and the icons and the animations are beautiful, especially when you unlock with the thumbprint. Now you can navigate easily by swiping from the left side to go back, swiping up to get to the home, swiping up and holding to clear, well, to see and clear apps. And if you just slide up halfway through the screen, all your apps will appear. Now, another feature is Zen mode, and this encourages you to take time out of social media like gaming and all those notifications that you're constantly getting spammed with. And here you can set a range of time to basically just stop, take a breather, relax, and just chill out, be Zen before getting back to work. And this is easily enabled from the utility bar when you drag your finger down from the top of the screen. Now, I really enjoy the inclusion of this because even though it's a small feature and I really didn't use it that much, but it's nice to have, and it's nice for OnePlus to consider people's mental health because, you know, having a social life online does have its negative effects. So good one, OnePlus. Let's take a look at the performance. So performance-wise, this phone is a beast. I experienced absolutely zero issues whilst using this phone in all kinds of ways. Apps open instantly, and there's no delay between switching between them. And that's the same with websites. If you load up a load of different tabs, especially on Chrome, and just go through, there's no hiccups. So this phone has the Snapdragon 855 Plus, and it's paired with lightning fast UFS 3.0 storage, and it has RAM boost as well that lets the 7T Pro essentially just breeze through anything that you throw at it. So gaming on this phone actually made me want to game more than I usually would because it was so immersive. I'm not a big phone gamer, I'm just going to say that, because I'd rather play on PC or on a Switch or something like that. But this phone actually made me want to game more. So that 90Hz refresh rate just looked beautiful, and you know, with all those 120Hz games supported, you can at least run them at 90Hz, so there's plenty of options there. Now the 7T Pro also has improved haptic feedback, which basically means it's got better vibration, and it also has a fanatic mode, or fanatic mode, and this basically just shuts down everything else in the background, stops notifications, stuff like that, and runs the phone at maximum. And even running this phone and playing quite a few games for an extended period of time, it didn't get really hot, like not hot enough to go, ooh, like I need to put this down for a minute. It just got quite warm, if that makes sense. So the Fanatic mode was designed along esports teams to get the most out of gaming, and yeah, it just ran great. And I mainly spent my time playing Final Fantasy 15 and a game called Odyssey. Now, another area that works well is the in-screen fingerprint reader, and this let me log in instantly pretty much 90% of the time. The only occasional hiccup I got was probably down to either me or the phone being slightly grubby, but you know, most of the time it was absolutely fine, and the animation when it unlocks is really, really cool. Let's take a look at cameras. So this phone has got 4 cameras, and I'm really impressed by all of them, to be honest. Usually there's at least one that really lets them down, but I thought these were brilliant. So the rear main camera is the Sony IMX 586, which is a 48 megapixel, and it has an aperture of f1.6. So the aperture being so wide, so having a low number, means it lets in a lot of light for that awesome bokeh where you see the, you know, the nice blurred out backgrounds to separate the subject, or it's also good for low light because you're letting in more light. So here's some examples from the main camera. The next one is a telephoto lens, and this is for those more tight shots for zoomed in. Now this is only an 8 megapixel and it's got an f-stop of 2.4. So here's some examples of that. The final camera on the back is a ultra wide angle, and this is a 16 megapixel f2.2, and it's got 117 degrees field of view. So have some more examples there. Now the selfie camera has a special feature that we mentioned earlier because it's entirely hidden. So click over for selfie mode and the camera pops up from the top. Now this is a Sony IMX 471 and it has 16 megapixels at f2.0, and it also has auto retract on fall, and this is great, it works really well. So as soon as it detects a fall, it just falls down, like, you know, snaps back into the phone. Now when the camera app is open, swiping up from the bottom lets you choose from different options: portrait, standard photo, pro, time-lapse, panorama, slow-mo, nightscape, and more. So nightscape's pretty good because it basically does a long exposure, so you have to stay really still, and it just lets more light in so you get better photos in the dark. Now, as you can see by the examples, these pictures are really good quality, and I have no idea what they've done to the color science, but it looks beautiful. It really does. I think they look great. Now, these photos really captivated me, and the big choice of lenses really made me want to be more creative and take more photos with my phone, because I am one of those guys that carries an actual, you know, a big heavy camera. But on my trip to London that you've been seeing the photos of, I actually pulled my phone out to take the pictures with the phone more often than not. So there's another thing to note. So overall, I'm super impressed. And for me, at least, these, you know, are the best cameras on a phone that I've used. But there are video specs as well, and these are very good. So it can record at 4K at 30 FPS, which is quite a feat in itself. But it also does 4K at 60. So if you edit a 60 frames per second video in a 24 frames per second timeline, you can slow the footage down to 40% speed and have 4K slow-mo. There's not a lot of things that, you know, can do that. So I wasn't really expecting that 4K 60, but I'm very pleased to see it included. And the quality was brilliant. I really liked it. So there are super slow-mo options as well, and I'll just run through these. So you've got 720p at 480 frames per second or 960, and 1080p at 240 frames per second. Looking at the battery life, the 7T Pro has a 4085 mAh capacity, and this worked brilliantly as well. I spent 4 days in London and I was constantly taking photos, like I mentioned, and I only charged the phone once. So after 2 days I charged it, and it lasted more than another 2 days after that. So, you know, That was with a lot of use and gaming in the evening as well. So the 7T Pro supports fast charging, and OnePlus even include their Warp Charge 30T power adapter and cable. And really, when I read the specs of this, I thought that would be an additional purchase, but it was actually in the box. So I think that's brilliant, because some people charge an arm and a leg for these kind of fast chargers, but OnePlus are giving it to you for free. Warp Charge 30T essentially provides roughly, so approximately 68% charge in just 30 minutes and lets you charge at full speed even whilst gaming. Now that's quite a big claim, but whilst testing this just casually myself, it actually works. So, you know, that's one thing to note. So as a really quick added bonus, they sent me some cases as well. So they sent me 3 extra cases with 2 bumper cases and 1 sort of edge protection case. 2 were a carbon fiber finish and the other had a really nice textured feel to it. So there's no way you would drop that one, but the other ones felt pretty secure as well. But personally, I just used the included rubber clear case that didn't hide that beautiful blue finish on the back of the phone. But honestly, all of these cases are really sturdy and feel really well, you know, they look great on the phone. But for me, I'm just going with the one that came with it. So price-wise, guys, let's get down to it. And this, to me at least, is crazy. Since this is OnePlus's flagship phone, which has incredible specs and, in my opinion, performs excellently across the board, I expected this to be around the £900 to £1,000 mark, up there with Samsung and Apple. But this phone is currently on sale via their website, so full price, for £699. And to me, this is an insane deal. And if you can wait until it goes on offer or get it from, you know, another website maybe that could be cheaper, you'll be able to get an even better price. So in conclusion, I mean, by now you can probably tell that I love this phone, but I'm going to give you the conclusion anyway. The OnePlus 7T Pro is one of the best phones to come out in late 2019. And is it still capable in 2020? Well, it 100% gets my vote. With specs like these, I almost can't imagine what they could improve on the 8T Pro, if that's what they call it. If I didn't have 2 years left on my personal contract, then I would literally go out and buy this phone. Like, I would. The style is perfect, the screen coverage is great, the performance is excellent for photos and gaming. It just kind of does everything really well. It's not like a master at each, but then, you know, you buy niche phones for it to be a solid gaming device or a solid camera device. Do you know what I mean? I find this is the best all-round phone going at the minute. So pros, great price point, impressive specs, buttery smooth performance. Side switch is really simple but effective. It's got a beautiful 90 Hz, you know, AMOLED 6.67 display with almost no forehead or chin. The rear cameras are excellent, and to me they inspired creativity. The selfie cam's mechanism worked well, and the camera was really good as well. It's got 4K, 30 and 60 frames per second recording capabilities. Warp Charge 30T charger is included. Oxygen OS 10 is really well optimized. And for the cons, there's really not much to say bad about this phone, guys, but the only thing I can say is there's no headphone jack. I mean, to me it's fine, I use wireless earbuds, but you know, some people still like their headphone jacks. But you can get adapters for USB-C ports, so just saying. And the final thing, which is probably the biggest con, is the fact that there is no IP rating. So that's the biggest turn-off for me. But if you're like me and you take care of everything that you own, you're quite sort of meticulous and careful with stuff, then you're going to be fine. But you can't, you know, judge the weather. Sometimes it rains whilst you're having a phone call. It's one of those things. I reckon it would probably be okay, but in terms of like warranty and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure you won't be covered. But other than that, this phone is brilliant. Like, I don't want to send it back. OnePlus, please let me keep it. But anyway, I think you guys should check this out. If you're in the market for a phone that can do pretty much everything, definitely check out the OnePlus 7T Pro. So if you've liked this video, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe down below and ring the bell. You can check out our merchandise down below as well. And don't forget to check us out on Twitter, on Facebook, and our website for daily news. So I've been Andy, this is Kit Guru, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.